I'm sure you've heard the buzz about Lightyear. Starting out as a classic toy character from the iconic Pixar film Toy Story, he became beloved by many audiences, along with the rest of the cast. He's had quite an impact. Many real-life toys based on him were sold, he got his own cartoon, which I will talk more about later. He's also the star of some popular Disney park rides. The Toy Story franchise as a whole has become a beloved franchise that continues to make money via merchandise and more movies, but none of that compares to the brilliant, ingenious, most phenomenal piece of Buzz Lightyear material that has graced this world. And that work of art is Club Buzz. Disneyland hit its peak with this show. I never hear anyone talking about it, but it is the type of entertainment that not even Fantasmic was able to hit. These puppet things are creative, the song is lyrical genius, and the dialogue is top notch.
That music, it reminds me of my childhood. I hated my childhood.
Disney made a mistake by getting rid of this. That isn't to say that Jedi Training Academy wasn't good, but it was nowhere near the same level as Club Buzz. But I think one thing we can all agree on is that the dance parties aren't a good enough replacement, just put in a new show. But anyway, not long after Toy Story 4 came out, Pixar thought to themselves, how can we continue to cash in on the Toy Story franchise without making another Toy Story movie? The solution to that was a movie within a movie. And that's how Lightyear was made. It's Pixar's first spin-off, not counting Planes, which was not made by Pixar. While this seemed extremely unnecessary, it still sounded like an interesting idea, getting to see the origin story of Buzz Lightyear in a different take, even taking the liberty of casting Chris Evans as the main character instead of bringing back Tim Allen. Not really upset. I think this was a good decision since a younger sounding voice fits this version of the character better. What practically ruined the movie for me, however, was the opening text at the beginning. The movie has been marketed as its own thing and distant from the Toy Story universe, but here it is trying to connect itself to the Toy Story universe. And yes, I know the fact that this is a Buzz Lightyear movie made it obvious that this is related to Toy Story in some way, but I would have preferred if the movie hadn't acknowledged that. It just shows that this was only made because, well, the Toy Story movies are popular. The fact that this is the movie Andy saw that made him want to get a Buzz Lightyear action figure doesn't seem right. It seems way too different from the Buzz that we knew from Toy Story. A lot of elements in this weren't mentioned or hinted at prior to this. It doesn't even feel like something that was released in the 90s. Boy, the Toy Story universe must have been super advanced. Probably explains why the toys are able to come to life. I also find it hard to believe that a kid Andy's age would be blown away by this movie enough to want merchandise from it, because I think kids might find this boring. When I think of Buzz Lightyear, I think of the early 2000s cartoon. It has a colorful style, exciting action, and an exceptional cast of characters. It's very energetic. I can see a lot of kids loving this, and I'm sure most did when it came out. I haven't watched it in years, but I still have memories of it because of how much it stands out as a true Space Ranger adventure. Honestly, this should have been what got Andy interested in the character. It would have made more sense for this other one to be the reboot. At least that would explain how lifeless it is. But Disney really doesn't want us to remember the original cartoon apparently, since you can't find it or its movie on Disney+. Lightyear, the 2022 movie, had potential to be something exciting, but they kind of played it safe here. Buzz and his crewmates are stranded on a planet with no life on it aside from these tentacle creature things. This is where the movie spends most of its time. The planet is super generic and nothing about it stands out. They don't do anything creative with it. The same can be said about the enemies they come across, very uninspired. But anyway, before I get to my main problems, I'll talk about what I actually like. As usual for Pixar, the animation is very well detailed. A lot of the scenery looks real. It works incredible for this type of film. I thought the action scenes were fun to watch, and I must say, I quite enjoyed the first act. It was interesting seeing Buzz working hard to complete a mission, but at the risk of losing the friends he made. I thought the emotion worked nicely here, and I'm glad Disney didn't give in to certain countries. I have a lot to say about this, but that has caused me enough problems this past month since I'm not the type of person to— Wait a minute! The Toy Story universe had a 90s movie with this kind of inclusion? Not only were they advanced, they were more progressive than us. I really feel this text was added at the last minute. I was really digging some of the characters they introduced to us at the beginning, but of course, we don't know them for very long since it has to get to the main story with Buzz teaming up with this band of screw-ups. It's funny, when I first saw the trailers, I thought that Socks, the robotic cat, would be the worst character in the movie, since a lot of Disney movies have that one character who is just there to be annoying for the sake of being annoying. But no, Socks was actually quite endearing. He doesn't get in the way too much. Even though he clearly only exists to sell toys, I still found him tolerable. But it doesn't make any sense as to why he was never mentioned even once in the Toy Story films, since that disclaimer clearly stated this movie is in that universe. They would have been better off not telling us this at the beginning. Just let us interpret it the way we choose. So yeah, out of the main characters, Socks is the best one. But that's not really saying much since these other characters are so unbearable. Each of them have only one character trait that is constantly showcased repeatedly. Izzy, voiced by Keke Palmer, is the closest to being an actual character, but they keep relying on the reminder that she wants to be like her grandma, as if they think we forgot. I like what they were trying to do with her, and she does get some development, but she doesn't have much of a personality beyond her main goal. But that's nothing compared to how dumb the other two are. There's this old lady who is basically just an old lady who is there to be loud and act tough. Then there's Taika Waititi's character, who is clumsy, and that's pretty much it. It's Taika Waititi doing his usual shtick. I'm sure he's a nice person, but he cannot act if his life depended on it. I'm not sure how he keeps getting cast in things outside of his own projects. I don't have a problem with comic relief characters, but they should at least contribute something to the story. Nothing these two characters do have any purpose. Could have been forgiven if they were at least funny, but they were not. That's another thing, the humor just doesn't work. Most of the jokes aren't awful though. I definitely didn't laugh at any of them, but the humor causes the movie to be confused in its style. It presents itself as being more grounded with a practically realistic tone, but it's hard to take this seriously when everyone acts like a cartoon. These don't feel like real people. Their actions take me out of the movie. Oh yeah, I haven't even talked about the titular character yet. Look, Chris Evans is a great actor, and his vocal performance is excellent in this movie. But man, they made Buzz Lightyear such a boring character. He's just a basic astronaut, only caring about his specific task. I hope whoever made the Buzz Lightyear toys got a pay raise because they made him a lot cooler than he actually is, since this is clearly not the same Buzz Lightyear. He is not given anything memorable to say. The only lines I remember from him are ones we've already heard him say in the Toy Story movies.
Say the line!
You're mocking me, aren't you?
We don't even get to learn anything new about the character, just that he has a bias against rookies and has to learn to trust them, which leads into a message about how making mistakes doesn't make you completely incompetent and learning from them is better than getting back and trying to fix them. It's a good message, but they don't do anything unique with it. The absolute worst thing about this movie, however, is the handling of Zurg. They completely ruined him with a twist that I'm not going to spoil. There was no build up to it, no development. It was unexpected, but that's only because it felt so lazily thrown in there. I'm honestly wondering why this was even a Buzz Lightyear film. It seems like they just wanted to make a sci-fi adventure flick, but the studio demanded them to make it about Buzz Lightyear since that would bring in a larger audience. I obviously don't know this for a fact, but it seems that way. Nothing about it makes it look like this definitely had to be about Buzz Lightyear, and they had to throw in a few references here and there to try to justify it. I'll say this though, it was satisfying getting to see another Pixar film in the theater. Though that Nicole Kidman ad is still the worst part about watching any movie in the theater. However, I don't think this is something that you should absolutely see in the theater. I think waiting for Disney Plus would be perfectly fine. Oh yeah, there are 3 post-credit scenes and they are really not worth sticking around for. Lightyear is quite possibly the most average a Pixar movie can get. I didn't hate it, and I didn't regret watching it since it does have elements that I enjoy, but it doesn't really have a reason to exist. Sure, Toy Story 4 was unnecessary, but it still managed to have a solid story. Lightyear just kind of felt like they tried doing the bare minimum since having Buzz Lightyear as the main character would sell tickets. This had potential to be something special, but instead of flying, it went falling without style. Yeah, the To Infinity and Beyond thing is overused, so I wanted to say something different.